Welcome to Quickshots. Quickshots.
Unbelievable. We just had to break because James had to brush his teeth. Have you heard anything so outlandish and indulgent? Where do I start this week?
What
oh
about
my God.
broadsheet newspapers? They're fairly
Well,
indulgent.
I say the broadsheet newspapers. We'll find out more about that tomorrow when you're reading the broadsheet and showing me how to fold the Australian 5 times because I'm a woman, so I wouldn't know how to fold the Australian.
Come on, get into the questions. That's absolute.
All right,
that's
so
rubbish.
what are we now? He didn't say that for all of those out there. I just like to put him in a bit of hot water. The great man.
Mariana, what does Mariana want to know?
I just wanted to preface this, cuz, by saying we're day 7 or 8, maybe 9 or 10, or whatever, of the federal election campaign. It's all over the news. It's all over the papers, and the questions that we're getting asked so frequently of late are all election related in the realm of property, right? So Mariana, along those same lines, asked this week, which federal government party will be the best for the housing market? Totally giving that one to you.
Look, the short answer is there is no one party that's better for housing. If you're wanting to see housing grow or you're wanting to see housing more affordable, there is no one party that has a relationship with the performance or the affordability of property. If you study the numbers, you know that there's been periods where Labor have done a good job and periods where Liberal have. So I don't think it'll make a big difference. What probably has more of a bearing ultimately is your perspective on things. You know, people who have a perspective towards the way that Labor run an economy will see the world a certain way and feel that that's a better way to run the economy. Liberal would see it their way. The two differences are quite simply, Liberal will favour businesses and trust that the money will flow down to the consumer and the everyday person.
Yeah.
Labor go the other end and say, well, if we look after the everyday consumer and provide more money and disposable income to the consumer, it'll flow up to business. They're just different perspectives. Liberal Labor doesn't matter when it comes to housing. You achieve the same result in different ways.
That was actually a beautiful answer. I thought.
No worries. Well,
it was very well done.
I got one here from you, and I know Dean raised this with you and
Uncle Jimmy
over the weekend. So we've had family members over Easter who've raised this one, and it is a very, very good question.
Yep.
Australia United or United Australia Party, backed by Clive Palmer, have
yellow
got
and black
ads everywhere, talking about we will guarantee 3% home loans for 5 years. I've had a lot of people asking me, number one, how can they do that?
Yeah.
And number two, is it misleading, deceptive? Is it even possible? Yeah. What do you think? We've both looked into it, and I don't know either of us have got an absolutely conclusive answer, but we go pretty close, I reckon.
So we both looked it up because it is fascinating, and it just goes to show how important housing and of course the cost of living is, and maybe in this scenario how important it is towards people's votes. So maybe that's why the Palmer United Party have got this under wraps. But basically, my first thought is, how can they guarantee this? The Reserve Bank dictates all of the interest rates and therefore, I guess, any rate rises that they pass on, the bank will just pass on. How can any federal party do this? But on some investigation, it's not very detailed in its explanation. But basically, the way I interpret it is if elected, the Palmer United Party are going to introduce an export license tax of 15% on all iron ore. So from the money they make there, they will use to directly subsidise or offset, if you will, any interest rate increases. Now, do we know how they're going to do this? No. Do they know? Well, they might have a bit of an idea, but it sounds complicated. But I've got to say, guaranteeing 3% for 5 years, it's got my attention alongside everybody, really. But will they be able to do it or can they do it giving the money to the banks or
Well,
I just
that's
don't
the bit
know.
that's not clear. Are they
Yeah.
going to subsidise the banks, or is it going to come back in the way of a tax break to the everyday person? Either way, it is absolutely effective in terms of getting a conversation started.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of people are really excited by it, just want to understand it in a little bit more detail. Could also be the amount of money they've spent on promoting it
It's
as well.
what, 3% for 5 years?
No, they've spent thousands. They've had a full-page ad in a lot of papers
Full
and
page ad,
many billboards.
TV commercials, like unbelievable.
Got one to round us out here from Greta, my sister-in-law actually.
See, I always
wants
get
to know
Always.
non-resident loans, what is the maximum loan-to-value ratio, and do you have to pay a higher interest rate than an Australian resident?
Well, firstly, we know Greta is your sister-in-law who's been living in Germany for how long now? Like 6 years.
3 years, yeah.
She literally ran away and joined the circus. I just want to tell the people that because you talk about it, you joke about it when you're a kid. She actually did it, and I think it's awesome. So, Greta, love ya. Now, okay, what's the maximum LVR? This is not a one lender fits all answer. Right, it depends where you live, what currency you're getting paid in. That's just what I've seen. We should probably get a broker on to talk about it. But the brokers that we have asked have said most banks will lend up to 80%. So you do have to put in 20% deposit plus your costs. Your costs might be a little bit higher as a non-resident. But it looks like today you actually can pay the same interest rate as a citizen or a resident of Australia. It didn't used to always be like that. It used to, I mean, depends, of course, what currency, where you live, but some 3 or 4 years ago, you couldn't get more than 70% borrowings. And
you're paying about 1 or 2% more.
Yeah, like significantly higher. So it's quite interesting. But like I say, depends on the lender. They vary a lot on their, I guess, mandate on which country and internationals. And then yeah, where you're from and what currency you get paid in. I've said that 5 times. Sorry, but I just want to make a point.
Safe bet to run your numbers on 80% though, and you just got to shop around. Thank you everybody for listening and joining us for the Quick Shots this week. We'd love to hear from you, so if you have a question, please send them in. Our emails are always in the show notes. Our social media, we get a lot through there as well, or you could do it the old-fashioned way and pick up the phone. No
Write us a
drama
letter.
either way. Thanks again. If you do love the podcast, please recommend us to one friend. We know you do and we love you for it. Have a great week.
I love it. I'm off to brush my teeth. Cheers, cuz.
Finally.
Thanks for listening to another episode of The Double Shot with your favourite cousins, Alex and James Fitzgerald. If you've got a burning question or something we absolutely need to talk about on the pod, please write to us. Both of our emails are in the show notes. For little real estate tidbits and a little bit of banter, okay, a lot of banter, you can follow us on the gram. Our handle is thedoubleshot.podcast. That, my friends, is thedoubleshot.podcast. Until next time, think of us when you sit back and sip your next double shot.